is going on, guys? Matt Downs with Daily Grind Fantasy Sports here to give you the edge. This NBA 114 slate on DraftKings. Cannot wait to break it down. Last night, we absolutely crushed it. If you guys want to check out our success on Twitter, feel free to do so. We've been covering League of Legends, esports, NBA, NFL, all that good stuff. Last night, we had a couple takedowns. I know TJ had 2 takedowns, one in NBA and also in League of Legends. So a lot of success there. Also tonight, guys, a little bit of an announcement. I will be covering DFS, NBA DFS on DK DFS's live stream. So if you guys want to check out some content, head over to his YouTube channel. I'm going to be doing a live stream on his channel, and then he's also going to return the favor sometime probably next week when TJ is available. So we will be covering all the NBA content tonight on his live stream. That will be kicking off at 5 p.m. EST. This industry lacks a lot of collabs, so it's really good to have that. Both of our channels are pretty similar in size, so I think it's very healthy, for the growth of not only our channels, but also DFS. So without further ado, let's now focus on this NBA 9-game slate. Not too much injury news to really look at as of right now. We know that Marcus Smart is questionable. We have to pay attention to that. That will impact that game. But really, the only slate-breaking injury news I guess you could title right now is going to be with the Golden State Warriors there with Klay Thompson. We know he's coming back from that ACL tear, so playing back-to-backs really isn't that smart for him as of right now until the playoffs. He is going to be resting tonight. So without Draymond Green, without Klay Thompson, there is some additional value there with the Golden State Warriors. We will be paying attention to that there in a little bit once we get to that game. But for now, we're going to be going game by game, team by team, and I'll be updating all the ownership projections throughout the day on dgfantasy.com. Again, a $20 membership gives you access to all of our ownership projections, our actual projections, and all of our favorite plays. Also, we'll be covering some favorite prize pick entries here throughout the entirety of this video. If you guys haven't signed up for prize picks, first of all, what are you doing? Enter code using DGF for 100% matchup to $100. You guys simply hit the over or under of any certain fantasy point projection or player prop, and that's how you play that daily fantasy sports app there on Prize Picks. But now let's focus on this 9-game NBA slate. We're going to be going game by game, team by team here. First, starting out with the Orlando Magic, and that's going to bring me to my very first Prize Pick entry, just right off the bat here. Cole Anthony has been playing a tremendous amount of minutes with all of these injuries here off the court. $7,800. I also do like him for DraftKings. He's projected right now for 41 points, at least based on our projections, and he's also projected on Prize Picks for 38. We are going to hit the over on Cole Anthony here, 38 fantasy point projection. He's in a good matchup, pace-up spot here versus Charlotte Hornets, and he plays in blowouts regardless. So even if these guys do blow him out, he's always on the court. He shot 6 of 17, 4 of 17, 5 of 18, 9 of 20. He's been shooting pretty bad over the past 4 or 5 games, and he's still hitting his projection here of 40 or 38 on Prize Picks. He's hit 48, 27, 43, 45, 49 the past 4 out of the 5 games. I really do like the over of 38 there on Prize Picks. If you guys haven't signed up for Prize Picks, again, enter code using DGF for 100% matchup to $100. Now going over some of these other plays here for the Orlando Magic, and all these guys are really GPP options. I do consider Cole Anthony a decent play at $7,800. I actually consider him cash viable. The only thing is the blowout potential there with the Charlotte Hornets. 224 over-under is actually pretty high when comparing him to the rest of the games. It's second highest on the slate. So Cole Anthony, I do like him for cash. Franz Wagner is also showing decently higher ownership than I would have expected, 12.2%, but he's been balling out as well. Also played 32 minutes last game, so that's something we can expect. He also shot miserably. So these guys just have decent floors based on their minutes and based on the amount of times that they shoot, and they're still performing even when they do shoot poorly here. 31.5 is what we haven't projected at right now. I do like him at a 5.9K price tag, just more of a GPP option. And then also Mo Bamba, $5,800. If he does play, again, he is questionable as of right now. There'll be other plays that do pop up if he is ruled out. But right now, Mo Bamba at $5,800. We just really don't know how many minutes he's going to play. Right now, we have him projected for 28 minutes because he played that when he has played limited. The past couple games, he's played 27, 29 minutes. So a 28-minute projection is actually pretty accurate. Mo Bamba at $5,800. If he does actually play 28 minutes, then yes, I do consider him viable for GPPs. Not that bad. Averaging 1.22 fantasy points per minute here on the season once he does actually play. So a very good fantasy point per minute player. Great matchup against Charlotte Bigs, as we know. $5,800, a very good matchup. If he does actually play, I do like him there for GPP. Switching over to the Charlotte Hornets there. These guys are actually showing decent ownership. And I was actually surprised because all these guys are pretty much back here and fully healthy. If we take a look here at their injury report, they're just missing Kelly Oubre. But other than that, these guys have been playing decent minutes, and the price tags have already adjusted. I get it, but just because of the over-under, I think that's the reason they're showing ownership here. They're projected to score 118, which is actually pretty high in terms of the team total. Cody Martin here, projected 28 minutes, is actually showing the highest owned. Comes out to a 5.9 point per dollar value. I don't mind him as the last piece. I just am concerned about the minute upside there with Cody Martin at $4,000. Not that bad of a value play. Probably one of the more popular ones here on the slate as of right now. PJ Washington, $4,700, also showing a decent amount of ownership. He's only playing 25 projected minutes as of right now. I don't hate or love these guys. They're just okay plays in my opinion. If you happen to land on them, I do consider them cash viable. I just think there's a lack of upside here with some of these players. I'm talking specifically about Cody Martin, PJ Washington, because the minutes are limited. LaMelo Ball, though, his minutes aren't limited. He's been playing 35, 36 minutes back-to-back. We know he hasn't played that many minutes historically, but if he's actually going to continue to see about 35-plus minutes, and yeah, I obviously do like him here. We have him projected at a 47-point projection, which comes out to a 5.28 point per dollar value. So I do think he's a decent GPP option here, flying somewhat under the radar. There's some other plays I do want to talk about here a little bit later on the slate that I do prioritize there for stud potential. But LaMelo Ball, definitely not that bad for GPPs here. An 8.9K price tag is definitely intriguing. And another guy that is really flying under the radar here is Terry Rozier. Has been playing tremendous amount of minutes here, 34, 40, and 41 minutes the past 3 games. Has been getting up plenty of shots. Has been averaging 18 shots over the past 3 games. And I really do like his upside here, especially at that lower ownership. And this is a higher over-under, so a game that really does benefit his style of play. 37 projection is what we have him at here right now. It comes out to a 5 point per dollar value. And I think that this makes for a very good GPP option, showing 14.6% ownership. And really, all of these Charlotte Hornets are showing decent ownerships. So if you happen to land on one of these guys for cash, I definitely don't mind it. But I do prefer Terry Rozier more so for GPPs. Cody Martin, definitely more cash viable. Same thing with PJ Washington, because there's a lack of value right now on the slate. And then LaMelo Ball, I think you draw a line there for them being cash viable. Mason Plumlee, Terry Rozier, and then Gordon Hayward are all GPP options. Same thing with Miles Bridges, showing the lowest owned of all those players I just named. Now, switching over to the Toronto Raptors. These guys are pretty much healthy, back ready to go, with the exception of Gary Trent. He is questionable. If he is ruled out, that does impact these guys a little bit. However, all these guys got price increases, so I am primarily off these guys, even if Gary Trent is ruled out. Anobi does have the minute upside there, $6,500, but he's not showing that high owned, only showing 12.5% owned. I do like him for a GPP option, but definitely going to be off of him in cash. Gary Trent, a 5.3K price tag. Love the minute upside with him all the time. If he does play, we don't know how much that injury is really hindering him, therefore making him a GPP option. 5.5% owned, and he's showing a 28.05 projection, so he's coming out to a 5.3 point per dollar value. Definitely don't mind these guys for GPPs, but like Van Vliet at a 10K price tag, definitely can't get behind that. Siakam at a $9,500 price tag, and even Scotty Barnes here at $6,400. These guys are technically questionable. I believe the last time I checked. Okay, Scotty Barnes is also questionable. So if he's ruled out, that's going to impact these guys in terms of minutes pretty drastically. Guys like Mikhailuk will pop up in terms of minutes and ownership. But again, we will pay attention to those guys. I will pin a post in the YouTube comment section below if those guys are ruled out, and I'll update you there with my favorite overall plays from this roster. Switching over to the Detroit Pistons, really no love whatsoever for these guys. I'm pretty much off these guys. These price tags are a little bit too high for my liking here. Cade Cunningham, a $7,600 price tag, does make sense for GPPs. But outside of him, and maybe Isaiah Stewart, who is projected 27 minutes at a 4.6K price tag. These guys are just GPP options, definitely big GPPs. I'm really not interested in these guys whatsoever. Switching over to the Suns, the exact same thing can be said for them. I didn't even tag a single player. All these guys seem pretty overvalued to me. All these guys are back, and they got a price increase. So Chris Paul, almost to 8K. Devin Booker should not be anywhere close to 9K with all these guys back, and same thing with Ayton. So just GPP options. Really nothing I like about these guys whatsoever there from the Phoenix Suns. And then with the Pacers, there's one guy I want to talk about here, Miles Turner. $5,800. His minutes haven't been the best as of late because he's only played 24, 23, and 20. But keep in mind, he's been in foul trouble in two of those past 3 games. So his price tag did come down. I think now is the time to take advantage of it. I think you could easily see him playing 30-plus minutes here against Ayton because it's a matchup nightmare for him. So we know Miles Turner, a very good defensive player, could easily capitalize on this, and a $5,800 price tag. I really do like him for GBPs. One of my favorite overall GBP plays on the slate. I always like Miles Turner for GBP plays. But that's because he's very productive when he's on the court, especially defensively. I mean, we know when a big center like that does dominate the stat sheet, then it's very appealing from a DFS perspective. So I really do like Miles Turner here at $5,800. The rest of these guys, definitely overpriced. Not too much interest outside of bigger GPPs. Switching over to the Boston Celtics, again, all of these guys are back for the Boston Celtics with the exception of Marcus Smart. If he is ruled out, then I do have a little bit of interest here. And Dennis Schroeder, $5,400, did play 34 minutes. I do like him. Didn't even have that good of a matchup last game against the Pacers and still showed out, shot 7 of 11. So I do like Dennis Schroeder if Marcus Smart is ruled out. But again, Marcus Smart is still questionable. He is assuming, or at least according to Fantasy Cruncher, to be playing and starting and playing 32 minutes. So Boston Celtics, only Dennis Schroeder if Marcus Smart is ruled out. And then switching over to the 76ers, again, really no interest whatsoever. There is a good matchup there with Joel Embiid. Obviously, centers usually are in smash spots versus the Boston Celtics, so I do like him for GBPs, but outside of just Joel Embiid, really no interest here. All these guys are showing very poor in terms of a value play. Switching down to the Golden State Warriors, this is where it starts to get interesting because we're without Draymond Green and now Klay Thompson. So Jordan Poole steps up. He is the highest owned projected as of right now, and that makes a lot of sense. And he's also my favorite prize pick entry here from this roster. Jordan Poole, 27 is what they have a projection for him. When I was crunching numbers earlier, he came out to a 34-point projection, and in terms of prize picks, it's about 32. So we have him hitting the over by about 5 points. I do love Jordan Poole here, 27 fantasy point projection. Hit that over on prize picks, and again, enter code using DGF if you guys haven't signed up for that for a 100% matchup to $100. But Jordan Poole, overall, fantastic plays, only 5K, should be playing 30-plus minutes easily. And I do like him here in the starting rotation without Klay Thompson and getting back to old form. If you guys think back to when Klay Thompson was out, Jordan Poole was bouncing up and down, but staying around that 6K mark. So now that he's at 5K, I do consider him very undervalued. And as of right now, comes out to a 6 point per dollar value, one of the better values in terms of that mid-range here on the slate. The rest of these guys don't have too much interest in. JTA is showing some ownership at 12.9%, but he burned a lot of guys a couple slates ago when he was showing some ownership. Only played 7 minutes. I wasn't on him that night, but JTA, I guess, as a punt play. The rest of these guys don't have too much interest in. The price tags are still too high. Steph Curry, 10.6K. He needs to get back in the rhythm because he's been struggling as of late. Really, really shooting poorly here. 4 of 11, 8 of 21, 10 of 21, 5 of 24, 3 of 17. I mean, those are not impressive numbers by a reigning MVP. So I do like Steph Curry, again, in just GPP, showing 8.7% ownership. And then switching over to the Chicago Bulls here. No interest. No interest in these guys. Troy Brown is showing some ownership. He was showing decent value early on in the day. But he's only projected 21 minutes, just a punt play for me. These guys are just overvalued. Lonzo Ball's back in the mix. DeMar DeRozan, Vucevic, and Levine, they're all healthy, so they're eating into each other's production. They are projected to be in a close game for what it's worth here, a 4-point spread. If I'm going to be taking a stab at one of these guys, it could be Vucevic. Very good matchup for him. Obviously, Golden State Warriors are not good against opposing bigs, and Kevon Looney is expected to start. So Vucevic should have a good night. But again, all these usages eat into each other, and we see all these guys drop off in terms of their production when they play with each other. From a team perspective, it's fantastic. They have a very good team. But from a DFS perspective, DeMar DeRozan, Levine, Vucevic, Lonzo Ball all took a hit in terms of fantasy point per minute production coming from their old rosters. Switching over to the Atlanta Hawks, we actually have a very good play here. I think DeAndre Hunter, one of the more obvious plays on the slate, but he's not showing the highest owned, only showing 15.5% owned. He played 24 minutes last game, and that was him coming back from an injury for a long stint. And if he's going to play 24 minutes in this game, I think that's worth it for his price tag. If you guys think back to last season, he was averaging between 0.8 and 0.9 fantasy points per minute. Right now, he's projected to play 29 minutes. We don't know if he's going to start yet or not. But against the Miami Heat, definitely don't mind that. Jimmy Butler is expected to be back, so a good defensive presence there for the Miami Heat. But DeAndre Hunter, again, 3.4K is very, very cheap for him. Historically, between about 4 and a 5K price tag. So you're getting a $600 discount for a guy that's only playing, only less than probably 2 to 3 minutes compared to last season. So I do like DeAndre Hunter. I think he's one of the more obvious plays on the slate, one of the more obvious value plays. Another guy I do have a little bit of interest in here is going to be John Collins. I know he's been performing very poorly, but this is without Capella, and he did get a price reduction, and he also draws a very good matchup. Also, there's no power forwards to choose from as of right now, and John Collins does stick out a little bit to me here, showing 10.1% ownership. Probably one of my favorite overall power forwards here on the slate as of right now. I know that's kind of crazy to say, but the minute upside is going to be there. They're still playing without Capella. Good matchup without Adebayo still in the lineup, so I do like him here at a 7K price tag. Definitely more of a GPP option, and if you're looking for a last power forward option in cash, I wouldn't hate you for landing on John Collins. Switching over to the Miami Heat, really no interest whatsoever. Jimmy Butler is back, and the price tags haven't been reduced to reflect that. So Kyle Lowry's still up at the 7.9K price tag. You're at 7, still up to a 7.2K price tag. That's just crazy to say out loud. And then we have Jimmy Butler back, $9,800. If he does play and start, then yeah, a decent GPP option. But all these guys are showing very poor here on this sheet. Switching over to the Cleveland Cavs, there's one guy that is showing a decent amount of ownership here for the Cavs, and that is Darius Garland, and that's just because of his minute upside. He's been playing a lot of minutes here, 33, 34, 39, 34 minutes the past 4 games. Against the San Antonio Spurs in a pace-up spot. They are favored to win this game. So as a last piece, I don't mind it. He's only point guard eligible, which definitely does kind of pull me off of him. And there's a lot of point guard options on the slate. He's not my favorite, but again, he is showing some ownership, so he does make a little bit of sense there versus San Antonio Spurs. And the rest of these guys don't have too much interest in. Evan Mobley showing 13.1% ownership. All these guys are really showing GPP ownership after Darius Garland. So not thrilled about the Cleveland Cavs in terms of their value. And switching over to the Spurs, all the guys are back for the Spurs as well. Jakob Poeltl is the only guy I have interest in here. I know it's not the best matchup there versus Jarrett Allen, but this guy has been playing consistent minutes and playing very well when he's given minutes. 31, 24, that was a bit of a drop-off, but that's because it was a blowout. 36, 30, 35 minutes. So he's playing over 30 minutes pretty consistently here. A 6.3K price tag, and he's averaging over a fantasy point per minute. So right now, he's projected on Prize Picks to drop 33 points. We haven't projected to drop 36, a 5.71 point per dollar value. So I do like him. 18.2% ownership is actually showing a decent cash option as well. So Jakob Poeltl, the only guy I really have any interest in here. DeJounte Murray is a little bit too high priced. He did drop a bomb last game, 37 minutes, and then dropped 73 points. So that was intriguing, but 10.2K price tag, definitely too priced up for my liking there for the San Antonio Spurs. And then switching over to the Dallas Mavericks, we are still without Porzingis and also without another guy, I do believe. Yeah, Willie Cauley-Stein. DFS, I'm talking about Finney Smith. That's his nickname, 20.9% ownership. I thought he was going to fly under the radar, but this guy's been playing consistent minutes. He's not the best fantasy point per minute player. He's not going to go out and break the slate, but for a last piece in cash, I definitely don't mind him for the minute upside. And like I said, guys, the power forwards are just very, very bad here on the slate, with maybe the exception of John Collins. So that's why Finney Smith is showing a little bit of ownership, because he's also small forward and power forward eligible. So projected right now, 34 minutes without Porzingis in the lineup, a 5.8 point per dollar value is the only guy I really have any interest here from the Dallas Mavericks. Now, switching over to the Memphis Grizzlies, these guys are pretty injured for the most part, but the price tags have been adjusted to reflect that. We have Steven Adams, Dylan Brooks, Tilly out for these guys, so some guys do benefit off the bench. Like I said, the price tags have been adjusted, as you guys can see here when crunching this by value. In terms of ownership, though, Ja Morant has been crushing it. Definitely don't mind him as a stud here on the slate. What I like to do in terms of my process is I like to look at the lineups and just see how the usage is kind of divvied up between all these guys. Let's just look at this lineup. We have Ja Morant, Desmond Bane, who isn't known for his scoring. You know, he's a great role player, but he's not known to take over a game and score at will. Zaire Williams, Jaren Jackson's probably the only guy that concerns me from a usage perspective. And then Steven Adams doesn't shoot the ball whatsoever and doesn't really score. So Ja Morant is like the only guy in this lineup that's really taking all this usage, and it shows when you look at the games and look at the usage rates that he's been playing at. 28.8, 31, 25, 38.4, 35, probably higher usage rates that we've seen in his career so far. So Ja Morant at a $9,200 price tag, I can get behind that. I think he's a fantastic play and a decent last piece, at least in cash. For GBPs, he's showing a little bit lower ownership, but against the Dallas Mavericks, again, a lot of people are going to be off of him. 109 team total here for the Memphis Grizzlies. He's going to be the only guy that I have really real interest in. Last but not least, we have the late night hammer, and I'm talking about the late night hammer by far. I mean, this team total right now for the Houston Rockets is a 116, and Sacramento's is even higher. This is a 237.5 over under. So for that reason alone, a lot of these guys are going to draw a lot of attention. Christian Wood here at $7,400 is probably going to be my favorite option, and it looks like the industry does agree here, showing 22.2% owned. So right now projected 40.85 points, and he has a great matchup. So Christian Wood should be pretty much a core play in all of your lineups. I do like his minute upside there as well. And then Kevin Porter Jr. has been playing the best, and they have been limiting his minutes, I guess because of the way he's been acting. But either way, 15.7% owned. I do like his upside, assuming he does play minutes. They're projecting him for 31 minutes. So even if he only plays between 29 and 31 minutes, I still like the upside there. for Kevin Porter Jr. at that 6K price tag. Jalen Green is a guy that's really flying under the radar right now that I actually have a lot more interest in than the public. If he does see 30 minutes, and again, he's been shooting miserably, but all these bad teams have been shooting bad for obvious reasons. $4,800 though for Jalen Green is very appealing. I like him a lot. I think he's a great GPP option, and this is just a good game to target. I know it's not sneaky or anything, but Jalen Green, I do like him here at $4,800, just known for his scoring, but this is a high-paced matchup in a game that's going to have a lot of scoring. Switching last but not least to the Sacramento Kings here. We have Harrison Barnes showing one of the higher-owned guys here on the slate. $5,500, has been playing more minutes since he's been back. He played 37 last game. I don't think he plays 37 again, but they have increased his minute projection here to 33. And he makes for a decent play. Again, the higher over-under, he's a do-it-all player. He's playing starter minutes, so that's why he's drawing the chalk. Halliburton is my overall favorite play from this game in general, with the exception of Christian Wood. $7,400. This guy's been playing the entire game, and technically, he is showing out even more so than De'Aaron Fox. Right now, he's averaging more fantasy points per minute. He's playing more minutes than De'Aaron Fox, and he's also cheaper. So Halliburton is my favorite overall play from the Sacramento Kings, and I think he's going to be a core play for me personally. And then De'Aaron Fox, I also do like him. I'm not dogging on him, but he hasn't been performing the best. This is a pace-up spot, so it does definitely benefit him, Halliburton, and Barnes, and definitely Buddy Hield. So I do like all these players, but right now I'm going Barnes, Halliburton, and Fox in that pecking order. I think Harrison Barnes does take priority just because he's easier to fit into your lineups. But Halliburton is my favorite overall play. I think he has the most sheer upside here from this roster. And now let's get to some building. I'm going to lock in my core. I think I'm definitely locking in Jordan Poole, Harrison Barnes, and Christian Wood, and also Halliburton. They happen to be the four highest owned guys. But another guy that's going to be flying under the radar that I do like is going to be Cole Anthony. That will shake up the lineup. So let's see what my lineup looks like here with that. And that actually isn't too bad. So we have Franz Wagner in there. We have Hunter, who I think is a very obvious play, and then De'Aaron Fox. I think it's a very chalky lineup, but that does make sense as of right now. As you guys can see, I'm not landing on any crazy high-priced studs. I'm stacking that Sacramento Houston game. So I think that's a good route to go, but that's going to wrap it up for my video, guys. If you guys want to see an NBA live stream, head over to DKDFS's channel. I will be doing a dual live stream with him, and then he will be doing one with us next week. And that will wrap up my video, guys. Hopefully you did enjoy this content. If you did, please do hit that subscription button, notification bell, and of course smash that like button for all of our future NBA content. With all that being said, have a great rest of your day, and let's cash.